All right, cash flow tactics fans, Joint Ops and Atlas Wealth, we're back. Today we're going to talk about a concept that it's still hard for me to get over because the supposed mecca of the real estate investor is 15, 20, 25, or 30 years down the road when your whole portfolio is paid off. At that point, you're supposed to be cash flow crazy and you're supposed to just be on a beach. And my friend Brad here and Todd Langford last week showed me some numbers that have really got me to start changing my mind. And it's something we got to think about because me and Bob were thinking about that mecca of one day having everything paid off. But let's go through some numbers and say that's not exactly utopia.
Yep. So this is the myth of free and clear real estate. Okay. We've covered in other videos the control that the banks want to have over your money, right? They want to sell you on paying off the house, but doing it through controlling your cash flow and controlling your equity. Because if they control your cash flow and they control your equity, their risk is decreased. They're in a stronger position, right?
Right.
Okay. So that's what they're trying to get you to do. Okay. We showed that's if we bundle our real estate strategy with our cash flow banking strategy that we've been talking about, how we can still have, even if you say, I'm going to pay my house off early, fine. But you can do it without giving up control of your cash flow and your equity to the bank. We covered that in the last video, right?
Yep.
So today we're gonna put the last nail in the coffin for this discussion and have you understand that free and clear real estate is not a better rate of return. Because a lot of people will be like, well, I'll give the bank the control for a short period of time and I'll have a better return for the rest of my life. Okay, that's the other half of the myth that we're going to dispel today. Okay, so in front of us on the screen, what?
I said, let's do it.
All right. So on the screen, we got just a basic rental property. Don't get caught in the weeds on whether this is realistic or not. It's close enough. $100,000 property, $20,000 down payment, $3,500 in closing. Okay.
And Brad, give Todd a shout out. What is this stuff we're looking at?
Oh yeah. So the software we're using here is built into the Truth Concepts Calculator suite that Todd Langford built to get people to understand what the truth is about their decisions. Okay. There's so much confusion out there that this software is incredible. We use it every single day in our practice. So, okay. So $80,000 loan. So we put $20,000 down. We pay some $3,500 in closing costs and we have this property. Jimmy, we rent that for $925 a month. You can rent stuff that's like $70,000 all day at $925. So this is pretty conservative on rents. Okay, our mortgage payment is up here, and then we threw some expenses in to get us to where after taxes, we're looking at about $150 a month in cash flow. Okay.
Yep.
So from the metrics we're seeing in the market right now, this is right on point. Okay. So all said and done, I threw in a little tiny bit of appreciation, 1% appreciation, paying our mortgage down, cash flowing, and taxes. There's 4 ways we make money in real estate. We're earning about a 10% rate of return. Okay? Now, the question here, and this is going to surprise you, we're going to go in and say, well, what if we decided to just lump sum? Well, let's first go to, what if we want to do a 15-year loan? Would that help us any? Okay? So we're going to change our loan from a 30-year loan to a 15-year loan.
And most investor loans are 15.
Most people go that route. Okay.
Yep.
Well, first off, it took a property that was cash flowing to a property that was cash flow negative by $94 a month.
Ouch.
And what did it do to our rate of return? Lowered it. But Jimmy, help me understand here. I was sold the concept that I pay less interest if I get a 15-year loan. So why is my rate of return lower if I'm paying less interest?
Because you have to pay more every month.
It took me $80,000 to do that, right?
Yeah.
And if we think about it, this is the point of leverage. And we talked about this quote before we hit record, right? Archimedes said, give me a lever long enough and a place to stand and I can move the world. Okay. What we just did to your property is we gave you a smaller stick to move things. And because of that,
there is zero leverage.
None. Well, here it's less because it's only 15 years of leverage instead of 30, right? And
We're
what's
not,
happening is, as we're putting that money into the property to pay it off, is it appreciating any faster?
no,
Are you collecting more rent?
no,
Is it costing you less to operate?
no.
So it's only changing one small aspect of the performance of your property, which is your debt service.
Yep.
It's not changing anything else. So we lost the leverage in those other areas. Making sense?
Yeah, we're also not bringing up the fact to get that 80 grand to pay cash. That 80 grand was taxed at some sort of rate, so it's probably closer to 100 to begin with.
Or more than that, yeah.
So would the calculator do anything if you showed that it actually cost you 100?
It would break the calculus. It's not meant to kind of look at it that way, but that's a good thing to keep in mind is we get to borrow $80,000 from the bank that we didn't have to, tax free, right?
Yep.
Other people talk about this like, I want to use my 401k to buy property and I'll pay cash. Well, that's kind of stupid too, because people say, well, I get a company match and they match 50% or even 100% of what I put in. Yeah, that's really cool, but I just got one that gives me a $4 match. Do you want a company match at 1-to-1 or do you want 1-to-4? That's all leverage is.
Yep.
Okay. So now let's run it even more extreme and say, let's just not even finance it at all. Okay. Our rate of return went down even further. Now we're at 6%. Because again, paying cash eliminated the interest rate, but it didn't help it in all the other areas we make money. Okay. It brought this property back to cash flow positive at $500, but because it required $100,000 to be able to generate it, the rate of return is a lot lower.
Yeah. And so that's always going to be the seesaw as an investor you're working with. It's going to be that monthly cash flow, and how much of my own capital I actually have to put in the deal.
Yep. So the idea here, the formula is put in the least amount you can and pay it for as long as possible, right?
Yep. And then in my simple mind, the way I see it is every dollar of principal you put into the walls of your house lowers the velocity of your dollars. Once it's in there, the house, it's doing nothing.
Yep. And that's what I'm saying. By doing nothing, it's not helping it appreciate. It's not helping it. You can't charge more rent. It doesn't change your expenses. It doesn't change the operations of this small business that you bought. Right?
Yeah, I'd probably be better off pulling the equity out every year, every 2 years, and putting into a life insurance policy or buying another house with it.
Yeah, so look at this. Remember, if free and clear, we had $510 of cash flow. With an 80% loan on 30 years, we had 143. Okay? So don't get confused that you have more cash flow. Okay? Because if I bought the one with $20,000 down, I still have $80,000 sitting here that I could go buy 4 more properties, right? Yep. So we take the 143 and multiply it by 5, our cash flow is 715.
Yep.
This is why our rate of return is higher when we use leverage, because we can actually go get more productive assets. Whereas if we pay it off, we don't get it.
And I always like talking about the other side of a coin when we talk about a concept. Now, the downside of what you're talking about is now you have what, 4 houses?
5.
Okay, so now you have 5 houses, but now you know maintenance cost is going to go up because now you have more square footage that's going to require maintenance. So it's kind of an argument to only do lease options or owner finance, but there's 2 sides to every coin, and it's just a matter of discussing it, understanding the real risk, and then making a decision.
Yep. And that's the argument behind me is people would be like, I don't want to manage 5 properties. I'd rather manage 1. Okay. That's legitimate, right? There's risk in that. But what about this risk? If your one free and clear property goes vacant, how much cash flow do you collect? Because you have 100% vacancy where I get to spread my risk out over 5 tenants.
Yep.
Okay. And then same thing, I have now 5 properties appreciating in value, 5 mortgages that I'm paying the principal down on, 5 interest deductions that I get to take and reduce my taxes, right? 5 assets that I get to depreciate and reduce my taxes. I get all of that. So you're right, there's give and take on it, but it just comes down to what do we want and how long do we want to get there? And some of the most frustrated real estate investors I meet are ones that have been in the game 10 years and they're paying cash because it's moving slow and it's frustrating. They're not getting the results they want.
Well, like for me and Bob, if we had only, the bank started cutting us off at like 40 properties, but we wouldn't be as good at what we do unless we had 100, because we had to develop systems and a business around it.
Yep. And this is why, and that's why I preach turnkey real estate so much, is don't go to 100 properties like Jimmy did so you can be good at this and have the relationships and get private capital and do all that stuff. Let Jimmy do that and just go get your mortgages, buy properties, and turn all of that extra risk that you don't want to take over to a professional that'll handle it for you. That's the essence of turnkey for me.
Yeah, or if you do want to own 100 one day and do it full time, buy a few turnkeys so you can learn and win. So, well, that was fun dispelling that myth in under 10 minutes. If you're interested in more of this, just go to cashflowtactics.com. You'll get our free mind map, and just go from there, because I'm having my brain's not working today. So
and then the next video we're going to do, watch for this one too, is we're actually going to bring up Jimmy's numbers, his whole portfolio, and we're going to play around with how do we, and these are real numbers that he's out in the field doing, these 100 properties that he has, and say, because he's got some interesting questions. He's on 15-year loans. Can he negotiate to 30, and what would that do to his rate of return? He's got access to private capital to where he could come out of pocket nothing for these properties, but the rate's at 8%, not 5%. And we're going to answer the questions of how more efficient can we make our portfolio before it starts to have a diminishing impact. So we're going to go through a lot of those questions, and these are going to be real numbers and real questions that investors face. It'll be great.
And Brad, this is why you are our fractional CFO, because I cannot do this myself. All right, thanks, everybody.
Ninja. Thanks, guys.
Talk to you later.